Hey there, and welcome to the Become a Guitarist Today podcast with myself, Adam Roach. Now, I just want to let you know, if you do like what you're watching and listening to, please don't forget to subscribe and like. That'd be greatly appreciated. So, enjoy the interview. See you real soon. Bye-bye. All right, so here we are for another session with Andrew Bennett, the author of Eruption in the Canyon. And we have a very special guest here today, Matthew Fogge.
Yes, I love you, Adam.
Welcome to the channel. Now, Andrew, it's actually, it's been 4 years today since we did our very first podcast.
Oh, because we did it for the book, right?
Yeah, exactly.
God, I'm starting to feel old, man.
So what's been happening last 4 years?
Oh, last 4 years? I've just been sitting here doing nothing. No, last 4 years, let's see. Got engaged, moved in with her, broke up with her. We broke up about 3 months ago. So I'm here mending my broken heart. Yeah, no, man, it's cool to, like, I will say, along, from the book experience to obviously the film collection, it's trippy, but it's like, it's not trippy, but like, I'm grateful that I've made all these friends through this. You, Matt Fogge's fucking awesome. Because, I had a little support system through this dark time. And, luckily, I think, some of my friends are asking, like, aren't you ever tired of talking about Eddie? I'm like, no. No, I love talking about Eddie. I love inspiring people and letting them hear great things about him. Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's been cool. I get this little bond with everybody. And, it may sound corny, but, like, the new friendships and relationships through this are the added bonus.
Yep.
The Van Halen family is very strong. And Andrew is definitely a member of that. He's probably the king of it. Or we wouldn't have this stuff.
Yeah. Now, talking about the stuff, so Matthew, you've got the stuff. You got some of the footage.
Yeah. No, it blew me away. It took me back to being 8 years old in '78. And a cousin of mine gave me the first album. And I thought it was studio tricks. I thought it was, there was no MTV. I thought, it's multi-track, it's studio overdubs. And everybody was like, no, that's only this guy, Edward Van Halen. And he does this stuff live. And I couldn't put together in my head how to do it. I only had the album and the pictures on the cover, or maybe a Circus magazine, a guitar magazine way back in the day. And this is before tablature even existed. It was still standard sheet music, which I can read, but it doesn't explain this. There are no notations in standard sheet music. And then I went on to being a musician in school and taking all the music classes. And then I was a music major in high school. And technology didn't catch up to where Andrew is now. I wish I had Andrew and the internet in '78. I'd be I'm not that I'm fantastic, but I'd be better than I am now. Yeah. And I'm still learning today. That's the thing that I told Andrew. I said, watching the footage made me 8 years old again in my head. And it sparked a fire again, like it was all brand new. The blood, the adrenaline was pumping. Stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning watching the footage over and over again. And the stuff with the interaction between Eddie and Wolfgang is extreme. And I'm a father myself of a 23-year-old. And he grew up around all of this, so he kind of takes it for granted. But I have like a stepson, Josh, and he's in junior high and playing in the jazz band in the high school in junior high. And it all came from Edward Van Halen inspiring me and through the generations. And I think there's a million new Van Halen fans and especially musicians. And like I said about this footage, you don't even have to be a guitarist. Be a drummer. I know a bunch of Alex Van Halen fans that would kill for this footage because they get to see their idol and what was he using this size pasty on the kit, what kind of heads, mics, it's something for everybody. And if you don't get it, you're stupid. In plain English. And that comes from Matthew Fogge of Lodi, New Jersey.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly what you said. I mean, especially the Alex Van Halen things, like the couple of videos there, just of Alex playing, it's amazing.
He's got his own style. He's up there in my book with Bonham, and I love Neil Peart. I'm a major Rush fan too, but that's a different category. Progressive. I love the time signatures, and being a music major, I'm into everything. But these guys took intricate music, but it put it in a party format. Dave's Dave, and Dave's like beep bop, boop boop boop, but great front man. You know what I mean? Like he used to say, people throw a party, I am the party. And that's real.
Yeah. I love the Alex footage. I love the Alex footage. I mean, I think, people know at this point, so I'm not a musician, but I can play alto sax, I can play piano, and I can read sheet music. But drummers have always blown my mind. Like, for some reason with guitar players, it's like I could never do it because, I think we'll share this real quick. One day I'm at 5150 and I was just, Ed and I are just hanging out, sitting there smoking. And I said, hey, man, I got a question. And he goes, what's that? I said, could you teach me to play guitar? And he smiles. He goes, let me see your hands. I showed him my hands. He goes, nah, you'll never be a guitar player. I told him, I go, well, thank God that wasn't my dream. But with Alex, I've shot a lot of musicians. And, like when I started doing music videos, it was bands like Deftones. So these dudes are fucking moving fast. And they're, and then I go to 5150 and I'm watching Alex Van Halen, and he's so effortless and smooth visually, so effortless and smooth, and you close your eyes and you're like, there's no way that this dude, this calm and cool, is making that sound. It's kind of like Eddie too. When I watch Eddie in my footage, I have no idea what he's doing. I'm like, I don't know how he does that. I don't know how you're moving your hands like that, like nothing. And I remember Slash came up to 5150 once and for an interview, and I sat him down. I said, I'm going to start off with this question, Slash. Tell me about the first time you heard Eddie Van Halen. And he goes, the first time I heard Eddie Van Halen, I thought there were aliens coming out of my speakers. So, I don't know if in my experience, if there's been a band that just people are just like, how the fuck is this happening? So, you guys are guitar players. So I'm just kind of, I'm not, obviously. As guitar players, when you watch the footage, what's your reaction as a guitar player? Because I don't know, what people have seen in the past. From what I understand, it's Live Without a Net and some other concert footage.
It's got that beat hands down. Adam, you take this, and then I'll pick up from there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just the way you get those close-ups, the different angles too. Not many cameras get up this way. Seeing Eddie
right there.
Yeah, I would lay on the floor under the board.
Yeah,
and sometimes shoot up. Every day I would kind of track where I was during each song. So yesterday, say it was On Fire. Yesterday during On Fire, I was laying on the floor. So today for On Fire, I'll go overhead. So it's not like the rehearsals are cookie cutter. It's not like the camera's sitting on a tripod. It's fucking boring. And yeah, so I'm just maybe you guys can tell me this. Before this stuff came out, I was really nervous. I was like, are people gonna like this? I'm a director, so I know how to frame a shot and I know how to make things look nice. So you guys know this, but the footage isn't shot on a phone. And so I was just always curious what people would think of it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious, what was Why am I asking questions like I'm doing the fucking intro? I'm sorry, Adam.
No, we can take it from there.
Take it away, man.
Yeah, no, this is unbelievable. I'm like in a fog, in a cloud. Like, I'm waiting for the dream to be over, and I'm going to wake up and go, oh, this is all make-believe. This was in your head. And no, I'm learning stuff from Andrew's footage that I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's what he did. And he swapped the pick because, and I do it too, and I learned after 30 years, where I could take the pick from here and throw it here and free up these fingers to do this, and then go right back. You know, it's not this. It's not throw the pick and then pick another one up off of the guitar. You learn how to, and I used to sit there for hours and just spin picks between my fingers to get like Eddie. And there was none of this stuff out here. Now it's finally out there. And to make Edward Van Halen live on, you have to get this footage. You have to get the photographs. You have to show your children, your grandchildren. That's the only way. He's a Jedi Knight, and I'm a Padawan, and you're a Padawan. We're just learners from the master. You know, it's like studying under Bruce Lee. Be water, flow. And as Eddie said, just play. Play, boy, play. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what he does. I mean, on these videos, some of them, they just jam, go on for like stuff you've never seen Eddie do before.
Oh, no. And this, and Andrew, the one session you sent me the audio tracks, there's like a whole unput down Van Halen song in the jams.
Yeah.
That was never put out on an official song. And I'm like, and the thing too, and you mentioned it, Adam, in one of your videos, it's like you could just go and write your own music to Alex Van Halen playing the drums.
Exactly.
And just groove in that same feel and that same time. You don't even have to be in the same key because you're only playing to the drummer. And that's genius too. It's versatile. Plus, like you said, Andrew, the greatest Van Halen karaoke you're ever going to get. Because if you're a David Lee Roth fan, you can sing with Van Halen.
Yeah.
You know, when it's from the board, it's clean.
Yeah. So to just let the people know, like in the collection, so 5150 is split up. So there's a room that Eddie and Wolf are in. They're at the board. They're at the soundboard. That's where they play. And then you go through another little part, and then there's a big room where Alex is in. And so when Ed and Wolf are playing in that room, you can hear Alex. It sounds exactly like the song. Like you guys have heard him. But on that Alex cam, you can only hear a little bit of Eddie and Wolf. You can only hear a little bit of Eddie and Wolf. So mainly, it's like you're getting to hear isolated drum tracks.
That is wicked.
And you're right. Like, it is the best karaoke.
Well, I still want to hear you singing Hot for Teacher.
Yeah, I don't know if we've shared that one before, but I think what he's getting at is there was a day where Dave was supposed to come to a rehearsal, and he didn't show up. And Eddie came in to where I sat, where my desk was all set up at 5150, and he just goes, "Andrew, Dave's not coming today. Come sing a song." And I said, "Wait, what?" He goes, "Yeah, I just want to hear some vocals, so just come in and sing." And, you know, this is early on at 5150, and you know, I'm still learning the Van Halen catalog. You know, like, I got, you know, I was Gen X, so, you know, like, by the time I started listening to music, yeah, there was the grunge, but I really came up on, like, hard punk rock. So it took me later in life to discover Van Halen and obviously Eddie. But anyway, so I said, "What, you just want me to sing?" He goes, "Well, yeah." He goes, "What song do you know?" I said, I know Hot for Teacher. He goes, "All right, do Hot for Teacher." I did Hot for Teacher, and I sang, and it was like actually into David Lee Roth's mic. He has this chrome mic with his name engraved in it. I think there's a picture somewhere on my Facebook, but you know, it's in my book, and it's in the print.
It's out there.
Well. So I did Hot for Teacher, and when I was done, I said to Eddie, I was like, "Yo, man, sorry about that. I'm terrible. I cannot sing at all. And Eddie just smiles and he goes, you're better than Dave.
I love when he told me that story. It blew me away. I was like, I gotta see it.
As I go from that to recently now ex-fiance, her late husband was Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots, and she heard me sing in the house one day, and she just went, "Baby, you're not allowed to sing. You're terrible." So, so I'm somewhere between.
Andrew, you got Eddie Van Halen saying you'll never play guitar, and you got your fiance going, you can't sing. So you know what? Just stay behind the camera.
Yeah, I think I'll just stay behind the camera, man.
Yeah. You're great at it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So now the other thing is with these videos, I know we spoke about the playing like Alex and Eddie, but I think we touched about at the start of this interview with Matt, the interaction between Wolf and his dad and his uncle is just incredible. I was just watching a part this morning actually where I think it's one where they're singing in the room. It's like, hey Dad, try this, and it's doing the harmonies and everything. And, I've never seen that before. So it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you can see the magic in their eyes between each other. It's unsaid words, and you captured it, Andrew. It's art.
Thanks, man.
It is art, and I could feel it because I always considered Ed like an uncle or a dad to me. And I considered Wolfgang like my little brother.
Yeah.
I told you the story how, at one of the shows I was backstage. I never met him. I never shook his hand. But he walked out and he looked at me, and I had the long hair still at the time, and he had the shorter hair. But I was dressed like him. And he gave me a look right in the eyes. I looked him right back. And he was kind of like, without saying the words, like he looks at Wolfgang like, you got it, kid. You know what I'm talking about. And he gave me a smile and his famous thumbs up with that grin. And I was like, I'm good. This is better than a guitar pick or an autograph. I got acknowledged by him, and it means a lot. People they think I'm crazy, but it's an emotional connection with music. Music is a very deep form of.
I like when we touch on like what Ed meant to people and the impact. Like, I'll be talking to like some friends, and it'll be like, "Oh, Eddie Van Halen, man, he was like a huge rock star." And I always say, Eddie wasn't a rock star, man. Eddie's a fucking legend. Big difference. Fred Durst, he's a rock star.
Yeah,
but Eddie Van Halen's a legend. And like I've emailed Wolfgang a couple of times. I know he's out there doing his thing and he's busy. And hi, Wolf, if you are seeing this, give me a ring. But,
hey, Wolf.
But I really want to get Wolfgang the first rehearsal. And his very first rehearsal was in October of 2006. And I filmed that one. And I want to get it to Wolf. I think when he thinks about the footage, he might think like, why would I want to watch this footage? I was standing in the room. And the one reason I wanted to see it is because you don't know how your dad was looking at you. It is the happiest I had ever seen Eddie. It was, in a weird way, it's like, I wish my dad loved me that much.
Me too.
that would have been great. I know. I'm guessing you guys saw the behind the music with Wolfgang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that footage would have been perfect in that little documentary.
Yeah, I wish I had known that they were going to make it. Yeah. I've reached out to Wolf, but I definitely would have reached out to VH1 and said, hey, since you guys are talking to Wolf, let him know. And, while I do sell this film collection, I just want to throw this out there. I do sell the film collection because I'm a starving artist, currently with a broken heart, sitting in this really depressing room. But,
me too.
I just want, when I've written Wolf, I've said, like, man, I have your very first rehearsal. And I've told him, I want you to have it. Like, I think the word is out there. Everybody knows that after all that time, I never got paid. And, a nice little dramatic ending in the end. But, all love. But, I've told Wolf, I'm like, man, not only should you have this, but, let's meet up and watch it together, man. Let's reminisce. This was such, it was such a magical time. You know, like I don't think anybody's ever seen Eddie that happy. You've seen him on stage. You know, you've seen him on stage smiling, and you know everybody knows that smile. But you know, in the studio playing, you know, Atomic Punk, and just like, you know, Wolfgang's like looking down at his fingers, and Eddie's just sitting there, standing there smiling. You know, and it's just like, not to sound cheesy, but it's like there's also these beautiful moments, and I think that with so much drama around Van Halen, you know, and you know, no disrespect to people, but I see everybody with their theories on Eddie was on drugs, Eddie was drinking. Eddie looks great in this footage. He's happy, you know, like it ranges from 06 to 07. You might see a bottle of wine, but you know, rather than just put out 30 fucking rehearsals and be like, yeah, here's 30. I just picked the best 5, and I picked those 5 out of respect. It's kind of the joy of this footage, man. There's no drama. Nobody's fighting.
No,
it's just good times.
Perfect. And you did justice to Eddie.
Thank you, man. I
drag him through the mud.
No.
You showed the real artist and the man for what he was, not the dirt and the crap. Because everybody always wants to see the bad side of things.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see the positive side. And you showed that, man.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
You put it out there. I know for a fact Edward would love this.
Oh, dude, that means a lot.
And that comes from a Van Halen guy. Because if I thought you were an a-hole, I would tell you straight up. You know what I mean? There's no blowing smoke up any ass. Because if you were an asshole, I'd tell you.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know I love you. And I love you too, Adam. Now we're new friends. We're in the same Van Halen camp. The same membership.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, no, I got people going to me, hey, so can I see the footage? I was like, this is the rule. I bought a fishbowl, and it's going to be on my kitchen table because my whole living room, this is my living room. This is my recording studio. I have my drum set here, my multi-track over there, my boards, my Marshalls. The dining room is the Van Halen wall, but I brought them out here for the background for you guys. And I went to my friends. Yeah, well, no, wait. Behind my drum set, there's the stripes on the wall. Anyway,
so that's what's cool. Like what Matt's saying is, you know, you take, you know, a guy like Matt, there's this diehard fan, and you know, from the book to the footage, you know, it's like what Matt's saying is like, it fucking means the world to me, is that people caught that I do this with respect. And that meant a lot to me. I lost some fucking sleep before that book came out. I'm like, I'm either going to make some friends or get murdered.
But no, can I say one thing, and I hope you don't cut this out? A really good friend of mine, Kenny Roche, not Roach. Kenny Roche is suffering from cancer right now. He's from the band The Individuals that I've worked with and everything. And I just want to say to Kenny, you know, good health in the new year, and you got this. You're going to beat it.
Nice.
That would mean, that shout out would mean a lot.
No problem. I think we've all got, actually, my singer in my band at the moment, she's going through the same thing. So I know it.
Yeah. Now it touches all of us. You know, obviously it touched Van Halen, and it touched all of us in our own lives. You know.
Yeah.
And, I give him really kudos and everything. He's fighting the fight. And the band's behind him and everything. So it's really cool. I want him to see this and be like, wow, Matt gets it. You know? So
yeah.
That would be cool, Adam.
No problem at all.
Right on.
Andrew, this is going to be fantastic. And thank you so much for having me on this. Both of you guys.
I appreciate it, man.
Andrew was like, you have to be on. You have to meet Adam.
This experience has been really satisfying as far as like, you know, getting to make people happy and show people things they've been waiting. I mean, fuck, what's it been? 45 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, I've got a little clip here I can play. It's the three of them together.
In the big room?
Yeah. Now, can I just play a little bit?
Yeah, so real quick. So most of the footage, Ed and Wolf are at the board. Al's in the separate room. when in 07, when it was like, okay, so this tour is definitely happening, then they did like a week or two in that big room. And that big room was tough to shoot in because that big room, like, it was loud. And there's not a lot you could do. I mean, Adam, actually, you synced up some audio to that big room.
Yeah.
That was fun. What?
Little Dreamer.
Okay, ricola.
Guys are getting a little.
No, Dad, Little Dreamer. Yeah. Ready, Dad? Little Dreamer.
Luckily, in that big room, so in all the time there and all these rehearsals, Eddie played Eruption one time. And then when he played it, I think fans will appreciate this, he actually messes up a couple of times. And then he starts over. And luckily in that loud room, Eruption is nice and clean. No spoiler alert. It's obviously more fun to watch, but at the end, you guys saw this, he like shakes his hand and he's like, fuck, I haven't played that song in 3 years. Really, man? If I were you, I'd be playing Eruption every day.
Yeah, so it's looking really good here too.
Yeah. We had taken a break in December. And I'm not going to get into it, but in December, Ed went and got healthy. We'll just put it that way. And when he came back, the only bummer was, oh man, the hair. What the hair, man? Come on. But it was, a whole new breath of fresh air on January 1st. When I went back, he's just glowing. I think he went somewhere and got tan.
Yeah.
But yes, luckily in that big noisy room, Eruption came out nice.
Yeah, that's right.
Adam, I have to ask you a question.
Sure.
Okay? Now, you've heard from me, you've heard from Andrew. As a fellow member of this club, with this footage that you found him and you've seen it, has it improved your playing or has showed you the better way to play a Van Halen song than you were doing all these yees?
Well, it taught me to give up guitar. Don't do it again. No, joking.
Just give it up. No, come on.
You'll never be a guitar player.
No, you had to go like this. Wait a minute. All these years, I was in the wrong spot with the wrong technique, and Andrew, the non-guitarist, shows me how to play Eddie.
Well, the funny thing is, like watching the footage, especially the close-ups. I'm not saying I play like Eddie Van Halen at all, but we do have a very similar technique as far as the way he plays and taps, with the finger, then puts the top, which I didn't realize. I must have just grown up watching him and did that, but I do exactly.
I did the same thing.
Yeah,
I try to explain about this footage. It's not just about guitar or bass or drums or vocals. There's something there for everyone.
Yep.
And whether you're a singer, a bass player, a drummer, a guitarist, you're going to find something in this, something that works for you, something that might make you a better player in your own style of music. You know what I mean? It opens your eyes, it refreshes and gets the blood juvenated again, the adrenaline. It brings out that 15-year-old kid again in the bedroom playing guitar, going, if he can do it, I can do it. And it gives you new hope. It's like, the fountain of youth. you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then also on top of that, talking about the 15-year-old. I mean, look at Wolfgang in these videos.
Yeah.
Stuff he's playing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Look, all of a sudden you go from high school or junior high to you're opening up in stadiums with the biggest rock man of all time.
Yeah.
Edward Van Halen is your father. Alex Van Halen is your uncle. And Dave might as well be another uncle, even though Sammy came in the in-between time when Wolfie was born. But still, you're surrounded with every piece of equipment and knowledge that you need. And this kid didn't back out or cowered out. This kid took after his mother and father and went, I'm Wolfgang Van Halen, and here I am. Take me or leave me, love me or leave me. I don't care.
Yeah.
And did his shit. I'm very proud of him.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that kid was so amazing. I mean, it blew my mind. I get up there and, when Eddie called me in 06, I believe the phone call went, trying to phrase this nicely because I like Michael Anthony. It went, Andrew, it's Ed. Hey, Ed. He goes, here's what's going on. I kicked that fucking bass player out of my band, and I'm replacing him with my 15-year-old kid. You should be filming this shit. And I go up there for Wolf's first rehearsal, and I was kind of expecting like some dopey little teenager, like staring and trying to figure things out. And instead, they start the set list, and Wolf is just like, not looking at anything, just shredding songs. And I'm like, man, I wasn't good at anything at 15. I could pop a zit. That was about it. And this kid's shredding, but I will say this about Wolf, because I hear things and see things. I pay attention, and a lot of people, if they're negative about Wolf, it's he only got the job because of his dad.
That's bullshit.
So I'd like to just clarify this because I was there for these conversations with Ed. Wolf got the opportunity because of his dad. That's it. Eddie was never going to let Wolf join the band if Wolf wasn't up to the task. And especially if Wolf wasn't going to work hard at it. And Wolf worked his ass off to learn those songs. I mean, dude, you're talking, this 15-year-old kid, you'd think he'd be, at weekend keg parties because he's in high school or, doing whatever, well-to-do kid in LA does on the weekends. But Wolfgang, man, he had that same dedication and that same work ethic as his dad and his uncle. And he put it in there. So if anybody's like, oh, Wolf was handed the job, I'm just here to tell you, you are very fucking wrong. That kid earned that job. Yeah. So
you've said it before. It's got to be DNA. It's got to be.
It seems like
it's in the blood.
There to a level. There, yes, absolutely. There is something in the Van Halen blood from their dad to them to Wolf. We'll have to wait a while to see what Wolf's kid does. I'm sure at 2 years old.
Yeah.
I'm sure at 2 years old that kid will pick up a drumstick or a guitar. No, there's something in the DNA, but what's also in that DNA is work ethic. And I've been around 100 bands, and I've been, on music video sets, obviously. I've been on the road. I've been in the studio. I've been at rehearsals with all these bands. Never in my life have I worked with a band where anybody works half as hard as Eddie and Alan Wolf. And these other bands, maybe they sold 12,000 records, but, Van Halen sold 100 million or whatever it was. Like Eddie could have retired probably in like 85, but, he's a true musician at heart. He would always say that I'm not a rock star, I'm a musician. And, like I saw just like how hard they work. And I look at other bands, I'm like, if you guys work half as hard as these dudes, but it's like, here's this man that's the greatest ever. In my humble opinion, I'm not going to get into who the greatest ever argument is, because if you don't say it's Eddie, then you're fucking stupid.
Yeah, go plug yourself.
Well, let's give some props to Hendrix. I mean, come on, innovation. But when Eddie would call me up and be like, "Hey, man, we were gonna practice on Thursday, but now we're gonna practice on Saturday instead." And one day I asked him, I'm like, "You call it practice. You don't call it a rehearsal. You don't call it a jam session. You call it practice." And he goes, "Andrew, I've been practicing 18 hours a day for 40 fucking years."
And I believe it. Yeah.
And it just, like, hopefully there's a younger generation out there that understands that like, you can find great teachers. We're on somebody's show right now that's an amazing teacher. But, along all that teaching, keep in mind, man, it's work ethic. It's, and like I said, man, that goes to who Eddie was as a human being. He never took any of this for granted. He never thought, "Yep, I'm fucking amazing. I don't have to practice or anything." Nope. He wanted to stay on top of his game. And I think we all saw it, man. He was on top of his game to the very end.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And hopefully him and Hendrix are just having shred offs right now.
With Stevie Ray Vaughan, man.
Yeah.
The other thing is with these videos, Andrew, it really comes across with Eddie too. Like, he doesn't have this big ego. You just see the way you videoed him, which was a lot of video. Not one time have you seen him like, "Hey, whatever." This ego. It's just down to earth, nice guy. Just like, I mean, you're there, so you can tell. But just the friendliest guy ever, and no ego at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, I say all the time, I wish half of the people I knew were as humble as Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
I'll share this because I think that I like to share this little story. Like, sometimes I took a lot from Eddie. Obviously, I can't play guitar. I couldn't not begin to do it. I just don't have the hand-eye coordination, to Ed. Like, I don't have the hands. But I took from him was my work ethic. My work ethic and where you set the bar for yourself on a project. I was on set once, and when we're doing music videos, it's move, move, move. You're there for one day. You got a lot to do. And I'm shooting the band, and the producer comes up to me, and they're like, "Andrew, we got to move this along, man. We got to keep going." And I told this producer, I said, "Okay, well, that last take was good, but it wasn't perfect. We're going to do it one more time." And the producer says, "That was good enough." And the cinematographer, who's like one of my closest friends, told me later on, he goes, "Man, when she said good enough, Eddie Van Halen showed up in your eyes." Because I said, there is no good enough. There is perfect or there is nothing. And because I asked him once about all the tapes on the wall, there's shelves and shelves of these Ampeg reel-to-reels. And I was like, "This is unreleased stuff, man." I said, "Why didn't you ever put it out?" And Eddie said, "Because it wasn't perfect." And I did another shoot. We were talking about humility with Eddie. Eddie, and he had some nice cars. He wasn't driving anything super flashy. He wore the same clothes every day. He cared less about material items. But, and even him as a person, he just didn't have an ego. And I was working with a band once on some low-budget music video, and this band was like, I don't know, wannabe Deftones. But point being is the guitar player kept bitching and complaining about his wardrobe and the catering. And it was like 3 hours into the shoot, and I kept listening to this dude. And finally, like, there's the voice in my head, and it's Eddie. And I could hear Eddie going, "Andrew, just fucking walk out. Fuck this guy." So I said to the guitar player, I said, "Hey, man, I've shot a lot of musicians, man. And, and who never complained about a wardrobe, never complained about food?" And he gives me this attitude. He goes, "Who?" And I said, "Eddie Van Halen." And then I looked him up and down, and I said, "You will never be Eddie Van Halen." And then I turned to the producer, and I think I said, "This little diva bitch is yours. I'm out." And I walked out.
Oh, wow.
Because it's that kind of like, what would Eddie do?
Yeah.
Eddie would not put up with bitching and complaining about diva things that don't matter. Eddie would, work his ass off and stay up until it's perfect. And if it wasn't perfect, it would stay on the shelf. So that's what I took from Ed, man. That, and he taught me to read through the the fake LA people pretty well.
You got any last words you'd like to say?
I'd like to say, like, because the collection is limited. So it's not like I'm selling one every day to anybody who wants one. Like I read people's emails, and please don't be creeped out, but I do check you out on the socials. Make sure you're a good person and a real person. But like to the people who got it, like I just have such gratitude and appreciation. But that's like it means a lot to me, man. Like it means a lot to me, that kind of support. And honestly, man, it's almost overwhelming how happy it's made people. I didn't expect that. I expected people to be like, "Oh, dude, that was fucking awesome. I loved watching that." And instead, you got guys like Matt who are just like, "Dude, I've been waiting 50, 40 fucking years to see this."
Forever.
And so I didn't realize that it was going to have that kind of amazing impact on people. And that's fucking awesome. Also, by the way, there's 11 by 14 prints for sale. Go to Facebook. I cut the price down, and you can have them by Christmas. That's my salesman plug. No, that's it. I mean, the link to the prints is on my Facebook there. It's like 5150prints.bigcartel.com. But if you have the book, I mean, if you do want an 11 by 14 print, you can also pick your size, same price. But if you have the book, there's a photo in the book that's not currently on the site. Just contact me, tell me the page number of the book, and I'll get you that print.
Yeah.
Can I say a parting word?
Yes, for sure, mate.
Okay. Thank you so much again for having me on and friending me. It's an honor. I'd like to thank Andrew for everything and being Andrew and letting me and you and everybody be able to be a part of this. It's a brotherhood. It's a friendship. And to all my friends out there, just go out and do it. Like I said, people are going to be allowed to come over to my house and my studio where I have my big screen right there. And I'm just giving them a taste. Can't have a phone. I'm not going to the bathroom. You can't copy this. You're not doing nothing.
Yeah, I will.
Out of you. So, yeah.
I guess we should just touch on that just so everybody knows. Each person's collection is their own personalized folder. You're not
your
sharing,
name on it.
Yeah, you're not sharing files with that. You're not sharing files with other people. You have your own folder. You access it 24/7. Everything's in full HD. And yeah, there's a little tiny watermark in the corner with your last name. It won't bother anything. And then for my safety, for the people who are spending their hard-earned money safety, just to let you know, all this footage is also coded and embedded in this footage. You can't share it. I would find out real quick and shut it all down for you.
Right.
But you know what? Luckily, man, I mean, I think at this point, the 25, I think there's 5 or 6 left. And, I'm sure there's people out there that are like, I'm going to wait for it to leak on YouTube. Yeah, kids, that shit ain't happening.
It's not happening.
Because I kept it limited. I kept it to this core group of people. So we're all in this like little world and little club.
Yep.
So
exactly.
Yeah, if you're waiting for it to leak, don't. It ain't
not coming from me. You're never going to see Fogge in the corner of the screen.
No. Everybody's been really cool and really awesome. And like I said, I get to know everybody a little bit prior. And yeah, man, it's been a fucking cool experience. I made a lot of new friends, and hey man, I know you got to run. Like, fuck, man, it's always so cool talking to you. And even when we're not talking, I watch your shows. Like I saw Steve Rosen. I think I talked to him on the phone once. He seems like the coolest dude. Like,
he's great.
It's funny. Like I see Steve Rosen, and my first thought is, shit, I thought I had stories. But I like that, Steve Rosen does it in a similar way. He shows it. He does it with respect, man. And he seems like a really fucking cool dude. And so, yeah, man, I'm glad we got to talk about the footage, by the way, with 2 professional guitar players. I mean, the average, a fan who doesn't play can still sit there, like me, still sit there and just be in fucking awe of what you're seeing. Yeah. The guitar player, you're like, I've never seen those magical fingers up that close. And you guys know this. You look at his fingers, and they look like biceps.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, man, dude, I really appreciate everybody helping out and being supportive and being cool, and guys who have gotten the footage, people were thinking about getting it. Like, I'm always happy, man, to jump on the phone and share some stories and experience. Thank you, Matt, Adam,
No worries.
everybody
you,
else
guys.
who showed the love and
Thank
support.
you, Adam.